Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be creating this client and invoice tracker template with a dashboard. That's what we're looking at right here. This is part of my dashboard series where I am taking databases. This is an example of one and turning them into this dashboard. The dashboard summarizes the information from the database and it's very easy to create following the tutorial in this video. If you haven't seen any of those videos, I'm going to leave a link in the description box so you can go ahead and check out the playlist. Alright, so here is the checklist for today's tutorial. We're going to start with a template overview. I'll start by showing you the setup tab and then we'll come back when we are ready to create it and I'll go over it in more detail. So here we have different tables that we're going to use to create drop downs in the database tab. Here's the database tab. It's a very simple table. Here are the drop downs that we're going to be creating. You'll notice that I don't have any summary graphs or tables summarizing the information from this database because we have a dedicated dashboard to create all the tables and charts and graphs that we need to. Next is the dashboard. We have this area with summary information for number of clients, invoice, amount paid, and overdue invoice amounts. Then we have a bunch of pie charts and summary tables. We're going to be creating this from scratch today. Back to our checklist. Next, we're going to create the setup tab, this one right here. I'll start by opening up a new sheet, name this setup 2, and then I'm going to clean up the template. What that means is that I'm selecting the entire space, changing everything at once to the font that I want and the alignment of the text. Back here, I need from A to O and from 1 to 20. I'm going to remove anything past O and let's remove rows 21 to 1000. And now I can select the entire range, resize it. I'll make this 30. A and O, make that 30 as well. Select every other column, resize them together and make that 30. Now here's where our table is going to go. These columns here, we're also going to resize them together, make them 200. And then here's where we're going to put our table. Here's the outline and an outline around the header area. Okay, now we can add some colors. And here's where I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I apply colors. If you go here to fill color, you have these colors that you can add. You can add your own custom colors here. You can bring in your colors by using the hex codes, or you can bring in an image and use this to pick the colors from the images. What I like to use is these colors here. And the reason I like to use it is, let's say I apply a color here. All right, so let's go with this one right here. And you notice that I have the same colors applied here. Let's say now I change my mind. I don't want this color anymore. I could easily reselect another color, but the more efficient way to change the color would be to go back here, click that pencil icon, locate the color is right here. Let's say I want to change it to this orange color. Select that orange color, click done. So it changes it automatically. It also changes it here. Anywhere in the template that originally had that color automatically gets updated. You don't have to go through each tab to change the color. That's why I use the theme color here. Even if you pick one of the colors pre-arranged by Google, you can still change them. You can go to customize and change the colors here. If you stick with selecting the colors from here, you have more control if you need to change the colors later. I'm going to go ahead and apply the color that I want. Choose whatever color that works for you. Everyone has a different taste. Select the entire internal table area. We're going to apply internal borders. For the internal borders, I'm using this light gray color. I'm also using this dotted line and then going to apply horizontal borders. Now that that's done, select the entire table, use this paint format and paste it in the subsequent sections. Because they're all the same, we don't have to repeat the same steps. We can just copy and paste them. I'm going to go back here. Here are the placeholders that I have for the table. If you are creating this with me, go ahead and use the same ones. Once you have tested it and created yours and everything works, you can go ahead and make some changes. If you already have your placeholder information, you're welcome to use that as well. I'm going to be copying these and I'm going to paste them right here. I have label, category, title, reference, source, contact method, payment status, and invoice status. The final step would be to remove the grid line, go to view, show grid line. This is pretty much done. We can go here and cross that off. Next, we're going to create a database table. This table right here. It's a very simple table. We're going to start with a new sheet like we did before. I'll change the fonts, outline, and the alignment. And I'm going to go back here just to see what I need to remove. So everything after V, and I'm going to leave the rows intact. So back here, remove everything after V, and now I can select the entire range all the way down, resize that to 30, select column A and column V, resize them to 30 as well. And here's where the table header is going to go. So select the entire row 2 from B to U, put our border outline, and I like to put an outline around the entire table as well. So go ahead and select that. So get all the way down to 1000, put the border outline, and I want to do internal borders. I'm going to click horizontal borders. It's going to, of course, apply the darker color, but we can change that. Change it to this lighter color, change it to this dotted line, and now it's applied. The dotted line is hard to see because we're still have grid lines on. When we take it off, you'll be able to see it clearly. Go ahead and apply whatever colors you want to your table. Here is our basic table structure. I'll rename this client database 2. All right, back to our client database example. Copy the headers. We're going to go through each column one by one. Let's start with the first one. The first one is a number, so it needs to be narrow. Next one is a client name. Make this wider as well. For contact dates, we want to apply a rule such that when we double click, the calendar comes up and we can pick a date. So the date picker option needs to be applied to this entire column. To do this, select a few cells in that column. Go to data validation, add rule. Now, because we only selected a few columns, you're going to remove the number after the column. So delete 12. We have D3 column D. This is going to select everything all the way down to the bottom of the table. And we're going to change it from drop down to validate. Change it to reject the input. You can check this if you're sharing this sheet or making it for somebody else. You want to give them this additional information and click done. Now when we double click, you can see that we can select a date in any of the cells. We can format the cell by selecting the column, go into format, and you can change the style of how the date appears. So click custom date and time, and here are the options. The ones that I've used recently show up here. So if you don't see these options, scroll all the way down and select the one that best fits what you need. I'm going to choose this one with the abbreviated month, double digit day and year. Select that, click apply. It looks like this. Next, we're going to work on drop downs. The category and title, these are drop downs. We're going to apply them the same way that we apply the date rule. Select a few cells, add rule, remove the row number, change it from drop down to drop down from range. Click on the select data range. We're going to select data from setup tab 2 for category. Select this, and you can click on advanced rule if you want to change the style. I will keep it as this chip style. Go ahead and click done, and we'll repeat the same for title. Select a few cells, add rule, remove the row number, drop down from range, select the range, title, and click done. Here is where you type in the different categories of clients that you're working with. Feel free to use these placeholders, or if you already know your clients categories, you can go ahead and start typing them into the setup tab, and it would show up here for you to select. Same thing goes for the title. If you're working with different types of clients and you want to keep track of what their official title is, go ahead and type in that information, and then you should be able to select it here. Next is a phone number. Just make the column a little bit wider so it fits the phone number, email address, and address. We can probably make these two similar width. For email and address, because usually those could be long, I like to use the text wrapping option. If you do want to display it every time this table is pulled up, you can wrap it so that it displays in 2 lines in 1 row, and you can adjust the height of the row so it can accommodate 2 lines. Or if you don't need it to show, I like to just use clip, and it clips the end and shows the beginning of the email address, and it ends right where the column ends. If you want the beginning to show, you can change it to left justified. I'll just change the header back to center. The same applies to websites. So I'll resize these 3 together, right click and change them to 200. The next one is label. This is going to be a drop down, add rule, drop down from range, setup tab 2, the label. Label is a way that you can use to tag your clients with keywords. Here are some examples of labels: priority clients, new client, potential client, high value client. So if you want to filter later on all your new clients, you'll be able to filter them using those keywords. You can change it to whatever you want, or just use the placeholders that I have selected here. All right, so we're going to keep going. Click OK and done. The label should be here. Next, we have referral source, contact method. These two are drop downs as well. So we'll add the drop down for referral source, drop down from range, go back here, and you can see the referral sources we have, things like social media, online search, networking, etc. We select that, click done, and contact method, add that drop down from range. Set up here we have phone, email. You could also add other contact methods not listed here. You click OK. Next we have invoice number. This is going to be something you would type in. We don't need to do anything. Invoice sent date. This is another date column. Select a few rows just like we did before. Add rule, remove the last row number, valid date, and click done. You could also format the column the way we did the other one. So now when we select the date, it looks like this. Next is invoice due date. This is another date column. Select this entire column, use the paint format, and just paste it here. What it's going to do is copy the formatting over. And what we can do is go back to this rule here that says date is valid. Click on select data range. It already has the data range from the first dates column, column D, column O. We can add another range and select column P, hit OK. Now when we double click, column P shows up and it already has the formatting because we copied the formatting from here. All right, and then invoice status. This is a drop down, add role. We have invoice status and we have payment status. And invoice status would be what's the status of the invoice for that client. Has it been sent? Has it been viewed? Whatever the status is that you want to keep track of, that's what this would be for. Invoice amount, this is going to be a currency formatting. So we can click that column and you can use the format as currency that shows up here, or you can go to format number and choose whatever you want. And if none of these apply to you, go ahead and click on custom currency, type whatever currency you're looking for and apply it to that column. I'm going to apply this one for now. The next column is a drop down. This is a payment status. Drop down from range. As you can see here, examples of payment status would be paid, overdue, partial payment, refund. And the next column is a date column. Is the date the payment was received. I'll just add date here. It's clear. And we can wrap this column and make this just slightly bigger. Make this 35. Payment received date. And we can do the exact same thing. Go to the is validate rule, open the add another range and click on range T, click OK. And now we should be able to double click and add a date. Now I'm going to click on column P, paint format, and change the formatting here. So we have the same date format. And the last column is notes. It doesn't need any special formatting. It only needs to be expanded. Make this 300. And that is it as far as the formatting goes for the table. Now that we're done with the general structure, we can go ahead and remove the grid line. Here's what the table looks like. The last thing we need to do is apply a filter. Select the entire header area and go up to the top icons. Towards the end, you'll see one that is a funnel icon and it says create a filter. Click on that. When you do this, it's going to apply the filter to the table and it should extend this filter once I put more information. This green outline is an indicator of the part of the table that has the filter. The more data I put in, this extends to cover that. Alternatively, if you want to be sure that it's going to cover the entire table, what I like to do is select the entire table. Select it all the way down to 1000 and apply the filter. And that way you don't see that green line because it's applying the filter to the table all the way down to 1000. Back to our example, we need to do two more things. I'm going to copy the placeholder information, of course, to save time. Before I move on to the template tab, you can see that these dates are showing up as red, and that is because they're overdue. And I'll show you how to do that. Back here, I'm just going to paste values only. What we want to do is highlight the invoices that are overdue, just so you can see it here as a glance. There is a section in the dashboard that will show you that, but if you're in the table and you want to see the invoices that are overdue based on the due date, we can do that here with conditional formatting. If we go back to our table and click on conditional formatting, here's the rule. We're applying it to this entire column and we're using the pre-built-in formatting rules. If date is before today and we apply change the style to red color and click done. That's all we're going to do. Here, I only selected a few rows. Now I can remove the row number that applies it to the entire column. Change the rule to date before today and then change the style. Use this red color and make it bold. Today's date is May 27th. All these dates are before May 27th, which is why it's being formatted this way. If I change the date here to the 31st, you can see now the red formatting is gone. You can apply it to whatever dates you want if you need to highlight for some reason. Other than that, we're done with the database table. Back to our checklist. All right, so we're done with this. And we also added our data validation rules. You can check that off. Next, we're going to create the dashboard structure. Here's our dashboard. We're going to create the entire structure and then later on we'll add the formulas and the graphs. Start with another blank sheet. Clean it up. I don't need anything after Q and after 32. Delete these columns and all these rows. And select all the rows, resize them at 30. First column and the last column, resize it to 30 as well. Back here, you can see that we have 3 columns, a spacer column, 3 columns, a spacer column, and so on. Do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. Spacer column. This one. Right click, make that 30. For the main columns, we can select them together. Right click, and we're gonna make this 125. Next, we're going to create this section right here. These are 4 rectangles to summarize information at the top of the dashboard. We have 3 columns and 4 rows. Start with the first one, these first 3 columns and these 4 rows. Put a border around them. And here is where the title is going to go. Merge that cell. Here's where the formula is going to go with the results. So merge that as well. And then this is going to be a little bit smaller because there's no information there. Resize the first row, make that 15. So it looks like this. Add whatever color you want. I'm adding this background color. Now that this is done, select the entire thing, use the paint format and paste it here. Select these two, paste it here. I go back. The first one is the total number of clients, then invoice amount paid, amount unpaid, and amount overdue. Copy that, go here and just paste values only. This text is smaller, so just make it text size 8. This is going to be bigger. Select these and change this to 24 and bold. Let's just test it out. It looks like this. We're going to add the formulas later on. All right, so this part is done. Next, we're going to create these squares. So we need 6 squares and then one long rectangle. The squares go from 7 to 18 and from 20 to 31. So it's right here, 7 to 18. Put the outline around it, and then we can use the paint format, copy and paste it here. Select this two vertically, do the same thing. And then right here is a table. We don't need to copy this. It's its own thing right here. Next, we'll create this chart area. So these 4 and this one. Back here, select the header area, merge it and add a border. And then add whatever color that you want to use. I'm using colors from my color palettes. And then right here, we're going to merge this. And now we can select this, paste it, select these two, paste, and just one for this area, paste it here. So here are our graph sections. This is going to be a table and this is going to be a mini table. So we can add headers here too. We're merging and adding borders. Do the same for this, merging and adding a border. And then add colors too, by the way. Go ahead and add whatever colors you want. All right, so here is what we have. Let's go back to our example. We'll start with this mini table. The header goes here. This is a drop down for our client name. We're going to create the same drop down. We have one column here and these two columns are merged. Let's do the same thing here. We'll merge the cells and change this to a drop down. Do data validation, add rule, drop down from range, select data range, go to our client database and select our client name column. Select it all the way down, click OK. I'm going to change the format, change the display style from chip to arrow. It works better with the style here. Make sure you have a border around it like this and you can change the color. Now you can select the client name and it shows up here. Here's the first column. We're going to filter information into these two columns. Select these two columns, go to merge, do merge horizontally. Here's column 1 and these two would be column 2 with the information filtered. Then I'm going to apply colors here and internal borders. I need to apply horizontal borders, but I want it to be the lighter color, so click on that. Click on the style, which is the dotted line, and horizontal borders, and here's what it looks like. Next, we're going to do this table. This table here is the client payment status table. Have a drop down. We can change from paid to unpaid, whatever the status is that we need to filter for. And then we have name, amount, and due dates, which are the headers for the information displayed down here. So let's do the same. Back here, this is going to be the header name, and here is going to be select, and the drop down is going to be here as well. So do the same thing. Data validation, add role, drop down from range, go to our setup 2 tab and select payment status, click OK, and change it to the arrow. This shows up with the drop down. Just need to add a few more borders around them, border around this and another border right here, and one more around the cell. Just borders around these areas here. Here's the header, okay, and then add whatever colors you want. So I'm going to go ahead and add my colors to keep things more consistent. Make a little change here. I don't have it here, but I'm going to make the change in this template we're creating. For this one, I'm going to unmerge it and push this over here, merging it right here like this. The drop down is right here, similar to what we have here. Then copy this to say select and paste it here. So it keeps it consistent. This is the general structure. If we go back here, the only thing we're missing are some labels. Things like the label for client information summary and client payment status. We'll add them. And then for these labels, we're going to add them later when we're adding the graphs. So I'll just copy these labels here and then these ones right here. Okay, the general structure is done. We can go ahead and remove the grid line. So here's what it looks like. Back to our tutorial checklist. We're done with the structure. Next, we're going to add the dashboard formulas. Back here in our example, we have formulas here, here, and here. All right, we'll start with these ones here. Starting with the first rectangle, double click so you can see the formula. It's a counting formula and it's counting the number of client names in that column. Copy this formula, and if you are not using the same sheet names that I am using, go ahead and rename them. Just remove this name and put in your own sheet name. If you're not using column C to put in your client's name, this range right here, change it to the range you're using. But I do recommend that if you're making this with me, use the exact columns, names, and ranges that I'm using, and then later on you can go ahead and change it and the formulas will adapt automatically. I've copied the formula. I'm going to paste it here. I do need to make the change because this is referencing client database. This one, I wanted to reference client database 2. All I need to do is add 2 here and it starts referencing this one. So when I hit enter, it shows total number of clients is 10. If I go to the database, it's showing only 10 clients. I can add 5 more. Let's copy 5 more client names here and let's paste them here. Now we have 15 clients. Going back here, now it shows 15. The formula works the way it's supposed to. All right, so let's do the next one. Here we have the invoice amount paid. Here's the formula. time. This is a sum filter formula. It's going to filter column S for paid, and then it's going to add the amounts in column R. Column S has the drop downs for status, and column R has the amounts. If we go to our client database, you can see column R has the invoice amount and column S has the status. Every time it says paid, it's going to identify the amount next to that and add it all up for us. That's all it's doing. We're going to copy that, go to our dashboard, we're going to paste that here. And if you're not using the verbiage paid and you're using something else, type in the exact word that you have in your drop down and it would pick that up. The only thing we need to do now is change the tab name. Here we have client database 2 and we can hit enter. Here's the amount, 11,500. We're going to double check that. Back to our client database, we can filter this column clear. We only want to display paid. Click here the 3 amounts. If we select these 3 amounts right here and go to bottom corner that has summary data, you can see the sum is 11,500, which is what's displayed here. And if we go here, change this from paid to unpaid, now it's only going to be these paid and the sum is 8,300. When we go here, 8,300. The formula works the way it's supposed to. The next formula we have is unpaid. It's the same exact formula we used before. The difference is here says paid and here says unpaid. We can go straight to our dashboard, copy the formula here because it has the correct tab name, paste it here, and then change this from paid to unpaid. Okay, and now it shows 23,300, which we can double check by going back here, change the filter, clear all, and select unpaid. If I highlight all of them and display the sum, it is correct, 23,300. Let's change this to paid. Now it's 21,800. If we go back here, 21,800. The formula works the way it's supposed to. The last one is amount overdue. It's the same formula. The only difference is the verbiage here is overdue. Go back to our dashboard. We're going to paste the same, paste the formula here and change it from paid to overdue. Hit enter. Let's do one final double check. Change the filter, clear all of them, select overdue, click OK. Here's the amount for overdue, these 4. The sum is 12,300, which is what we have here. If you want, you can change this color from black to red just because this is overdue, and you can change this one that says paid to green. Next, we're going to create the formulas that go in the section right here. For this column here, we want to pull in the names of the column, contact date, category, title, phone number, etc. These are the names of the columns right here. We need to pull in that information directly into our table. To do this, click equals in the first cell, go to our database, and we want the contact date to be the first one. Enter, click equals, select the next one, category. All right, so here are the values you are going to display. So I'm just selecting that column and changing it to right, justified, and bold, and italicized. Next, we need to apply formulas here. These are going to be filter formulas. Anytime we select a name of a client, it's going to display the contract date, category, title, phone number, email address, etc. Back to our example, here's the formula. When B8 matches the name in column C, remember column C has a client name, it's going to filter the information from column D, okay? And in column D, we have the contact date. That's all this is doing. We're going to copy that formula, and we need to make a few changes before we use the formula here. One reason being that we changed the location of our drop down. Our drop down right now is in C8. It's no longer B8 because we added a select label here. That's one thing. And the other thing too is we need to change the database to client database 2 and change it from B8 to C8. When we do this, you can see it's selecting the right cell. Now we can hit enter. We need to reformat this so it displays as a date. Go to formats, number. Let's use this one. So now it shows up like so. And I'm just going to left justify this. All right, so they're right next to each other. We know categories in column E, so we can use the exact same formula. Copy it, paste it here. Now instead of filtering column D, it's going to be column E, so we're changing it to E here. And this is going to be F, the same step. Just keep going until you go all the way till the end. Now we can change it to test it out. Let's say Ethan Adams, and the information shows up here for Ethan Adams. We can double check. So the contact date is April 19, 2023, healthcare, etc. Let's go to Ethan Adams, April 19th, healthcare consultant, etc. That's working fine. All right, let's do this next. I forgot to add internal borders, so select the entire range, go back to borders, change it to the lighter color and the dotted line, internal borders. Okay, now we can add the formula here. Let's go to our example. Here's the formula. It's a long formula. Pause the video if you need to copy the right formula. It is a sort filter formula, and it's basically filtering the first column, which is client name, the second column, which is the amount, column R, and the third column, which is the due date in column P. And then it's sorting the information based on dates, and you can see 08 right here is the status. It's going to change the information when 08 matches column S. Column S is where we have the client statuses. It's going to respond dynamically to what we select here. It is limited to 10. Show you how to change that if you need to. Copy the formula and paste the formula here. Change it to client database 2 for all of them. The drop down is 08, so this is correct. And everything else should be fine. You can hit enter. Here's the table. We need to do some formatting. For the amount, select that. Change it to your currency formatting. And for the due dates format number, change it to the date format. So this is displaying all of them because we don't have anything selected. If we change this to paid, now we only have paid. Overdue, we have nothing for refunded. We only have paid, unpaid, and overdue. When we remove this, it shows everything. And then I'm going to change the formula right here. This is limiting the outputs to 10. Originally, I only had the table going down here. Now we have 22 rows, so we can change this to match the space we have here. So 22. Now you can see it displays all 15. Okay, so we have 15 clients. It shows all of them. If you have a really long list and you want all of them displayed, add more rows to this table and it would be expanded downwards. For now, I will keep this at 22 for this template. Here's what it looks like when we filter. Still works fine. All right, so this table is done. Let's go to our dashboard. Now we're going to do our graphs. For our graphs, let's do label. So this one right here. So that's label. Now we're going to enter the graph that summarizes the information for label. To do this, click on Insert Charts. We're going to need this to be a pie chart, so select that. For data range, click on the icon, go back to our database. Here is what we need selected, column K. I'm just selecting a few and then removing the row number. Select everything, hit OK. For the graph to show up correctly, click Aggregate, and here's what it looks like. Go to Chart Style. I'm going to remove the background color and the border color. One last thing I'm going to change is the legend. It's showing the labeled legend, this one. I'm going to change it to left, and this works when you have a square space. Change it back to labels. If you have space and you're extending the pie chart like this, then this label works beautifully. Other than that, I like to use the left legend like this. Next is the referral source. Same thing, equals database 2 referral source. Click enter. We have the title, and then what we can do now is just copy this chart, paste it here. So referral source is in column L. Edit the charts and click right here to select data range. Change it from K to L, from L3 to L1000. Click OK, and now it shows you the referral source. We're going to repeat the same steps for these two graphs. I'm just going to paste the graphs here. Click equals, invoice status, enter, and payment status. Okay, and now we need to change these graphs because this is referencing the referral source. Invoice status is in column Q. Edit our graph right here. You can change it here too. Just change it from K to Q and enter. It updates the graph. Do the same for this. Change it from K to S right here. So S3 to S1000, and the graph updates automatically. Now we have our 4 pie charts. The last one is a category. Let's add that. Go here, equals, look for our category column. All right, and then enter in our charts, insert charts, change it to bar charts, select the range, column E all the way down, click OK, click aggregates and move it into its spots, change the size and just move it in that spot there. And we don't need the border or the background for this as well. We can go ahead and remove that, customize, no background color or border color. And then we can also remove these lines as well right here. And to do this, click on that and check off major grid lines, double click on that color, change it to whatever color you want. I'm just changing to this dark green color here. If you want, you can add a color here too. So back to our checklist, we are basically done with this tutorial. We added the formulas, we added the graphs, and I will mention my Patreon. What you would get with being part of my Patreon is you will have access to the sheet we just created today. You can play around with it and make the version that works for you, and you don't have to worry about getting the formulas wrong because the formulas are already embedded in the templates. Thank you so much, current Patreon members. And that brings me to the end of today's tutorial. Thank you for staying all the way till the end. Remember, this is a video that's part of a series. I'm starting out with my own ideas, but I am open to collecting information about databases. So if you have a database and you want that converted into a dashboard, let me know what your idea is. I can create placeholder information like I have done for this one. If you already have a real database example you don't mind sharing, send it over and we'll create a tutorial converting that database into a dashboard. If you have any questions or difficulty with some of these formulas, feel free to leave comments in the comment section below, and of course like this video if it helped you. Send it to someone that you think would find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.